For many football fans, the most singular recognizable voice for a generation is Pat Summerall, who joins me here now, the voice of so many big NFL games and the Super Bowl. Of course, his many years with Brookshire and then Madden. Pat,
right.
Welcome. Good to see you as always.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you. Pat, I know Dallas is your home. It has been for a long time. This is not exactly Dallas weather, right?
No, it's not typical by any means.
I mean, have you had many days
We've
like
had
this?
days like this, but it didn't last this long.
Yeah, this is something different, and I'm sure Texas. It seemed like Texas really wanted to put their best foot forward here for the Super Bowl. So they've been every time you turn around, someone apologizes for the weather. I said, we don't expect you to produce the weather. So
well, the two teams, Green Bay and Pittsburgh, my goodness, they ought to be used to this.
Yeah, they absolutely should. How many Super Bowls did you do?
28 is as near as I can count.
28
right.
Super Bowls. Are those all on TV? Did you do any on radio?
I did some on radio.
Did some on radio?
Yeah.
And how many did you do with Madden? Most of those?
Gosh, I don't know.
Did you do any Super Bowls with Brookshire?
Yeah.
You did,
yeah,
right?
I did 3, I think.
Okay. So, and obviously most of them. How many years did you work with John?
22.
22 years. And how many years did you work with Brookshire?
8 or 9, I'm not sure which.
Gotcha.
And before that, I was an analyst. When you first started, you were an analyst. Yes.
Who was your play-by-play guy?
First, it was Chris Schenkel.
Right.
The late Chris Schenkel.
Oh, sure. Wonderful guy. Yes.
And after that, Jim Gibbons from Washington.
Jim Gibbons, right.
Jack Buck.
Of course, Jack Buck. A lot of fun man.
Ray Scott.
Ray, great voice, too. I always think of the Packers when I think of Ray Scott.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Ray Scott, huh? That's unbelievable. When you retired, did you go into broadcasting the first year?
Yeah.
Right away, same year?
When I was playing.
Oh, so you were still playing when you went into broadcasting?
Yeah.
What was your first job in broadcasting?
I was doing a 5-minute radio show. In fact, I was playing with the Giants.
Right.
We had some time off before we had to go back to training camp. We were training at Bear Mountain up the Hudson from New York City.
Right.
And this voice called the room that I was staying in a hotel and asked to speak to my roommate, who was our quarterback, Charles Connerly. And I said, he's sitting in the shower right now. He can't come to the phone. So we talked a minute. This gentleman I didn't know who was on the phone, and he said to me, after a period of conversation, he said to me, "What are you doing this afternoon?" And I said, "I don't know. Yeah, going somewhere and drink beer with the boys or go to a movie or something like that." And he said, "Why don't all of you guys, 3 of your teammates are coming in this afternoon to read this audition script. Charlie Connolly, who was a quarterback, Kyle Rode, who was the captain, and Alex Webster, who was a running back." And he said, "Why don't you come with them?" So I went with them. And they picked the way I read, and that's how I got into broadcasting to begin with.
And when you're in New York, your first full-time job was what? What was your first
Doing
job?
the Giant games.
Doing the Giant games.
After I retired.
Was that on NEW? Was that radio? That was on radio or TV?
That was on TV.
On TV,
for
okay.
CBS. Yeah.
Okay. And then did you do, what year did you go to the network? What was your first year you went to the network?
Oh, I guess about 1967 or 68, something like that.
Right. And then you started as you were an analyst the first year.
Right.
What was the first year you took over as a play-by-play guy?
I think 1964 that.
Wow, was that early, huh?
Yeah. 1974.
74?
74.
Okay. And that's right when TV started to really kind of explode with the games.
Right. The boss, who was Bob Wessler at the time, called my home in New Jersey, and he said, "Come in, I need to talk to you." And I was working with Jack Buck at the time, and he said, "You and Jack Buck sound too much alike. I can't tell who's talking. I said, I got to make a change." So he said, I said, "If you're going to make a change, how about I do play-by-play?" And he said, "Okay. When do you want to start?" And I said, "Oh, after the season's over." He said, "No, let's start next week." So he said, "Who do you want to work with?" And I said, "Tom Brookshire." And so we had been working together at NFL Films. So he had put us together on a Giants St. Louis game the next week. And that was my first game.
You know, fans, the younger fans, of course, remember you and Madden for so many years as the signature voices of the NFL. The fans who are a little older might remember you and Brookshire were a very big team for many years. Not only the best of friends, but a very big team together.
We were the A-team.
Yeah, for a long time.
For a long time,
and
for
a
8 or 9
team.
years.
Absolutely. And then the switch, which I'm sure was tough to make the transition, and then you and Madden became such an enormously successful team together.
I don't know why. Because we didn't know each other. We had put some time in together because I'd done some Raider games as an analyst, and he was a coach of the Raiders at the time.
Yep.
But I didn't know him very well. I remember it was the first game he gave us was a giant Tampa game in Tampa Bay. And the stadium was way up high, and I thought John was sweating like when I arrived at the booth. He's sweating like a pig. And I thought, this guy's in the wrong business. He's got to be in the wrong business because he can't be this nervous about being on television and make it make any sense. I found out later that he was allergic to heights.
Yeah, which
along with airplanes.